Hey, what's up YouTube? We're back with another video. Today we are going to be talking about the new patch to Helldivers. We got a new patch right before the mechanized Warbond, what are they calling it? The Exo Experts. But we're going to be mainly focusing on the patch and what came included in it and some tips on the new Gloom revision, I guess you could say, because they are way more interesting than they originally were. Those Gloom Terminated units are very speedy boys. So we'll get talking into that. We're going to talk about the patch notes, good, bad, the ugly, and then briefly some talk about the Warbond. Tomorrow's video is going to be a proper review, pros, cons, comparing it to other Warbonds and so on and so forth. But just wanted to put it out this today quickly to get you up to date with what's happening in Helldivers. So let's do it. First, we have the patch. 2 new biomes. We've only have access to 1 at the moment. It's basically just a very lush Nordic forest, very flowery, beautiful. It's really nice. I really enjoy it. The one new enemy variant is a Spore Bile Titan. He's really interesting because he buffs the enemies around him. I'll get into more of it a little bit afterwards, but a unique, interesting take on the Bile Titan, which I really like. Obviously, we have the new Warbond enemy rebalances. This is mostly going into the Hive Guard, got its armor upgraded to Pen 4, so now it's heavy armor, but it got everything else downgraded. So like the armor in the back is now like it's basically 0 armor, where it used to be light armor. And then on top of that, its health went down from 500 to 375, which basically means that you are melting them if you can get a flank or you can shoot underneath them. So they are dying extremely fast. Melee weapons got a rebalance. Most of the melee weapons that were especially one-handed cost less stamina, which is cool. A little bit of damage increases for stun batons and stuff like that. A buff to the chainsword stratagem, which is good. It felt very lackluster. Some changes to the shield backpack, which is good, or like the ballistic shield backpack, because they've been increasing the durable damage on melee units primarily in this patch to better like balance with how tanky mechs are, because that's another one we were going to get into, is the mechs have received a good amount of tankiness in comparison to where they were before. So basically just doubling the health. I won't get into the great details of it, but essentially they are tankier and they feel honestly even better than they felt before the Bastion tank was added. So really great change there. But there was kind of a loser of this patch, and I would say it's mostly the turrets. That your turrets will be dying pretty damn fast, especially the melee damage. I'm hoping that's the next thing they're going to address as far as durable damage from enemies. It's unfortunate that turrets got kind of left out to dry here. Another one is both your Gatling and machine gun sentries got kind of shafted in this patch because of the Hive Guards. Although you can kill your Hive Guards with like light armor, that they want you to go for light for weak points and stuff like that. Unfortunately, both the Gatling and the machine gun sentry kind of just feel bad at the moment, because if they see a Hive Guard, they're going to try and shoot the Hive Guard and all their shots are going to bounce. So I hope that either they improve the AI on them to not want to shoot it, or maybe they give them higher pen or something along those lines. I don't know what they're going to do, but we'll see. But yeah, I think overall, I think the Hive Guard change is mostly a net neutral, I want to say. A lot of weapons feel a lot better versus them, but then there's a couple weapons that feel worse. I think they're achieving what they said in their patch note video, that like they wanted Hive Guard to be more tanky and to feel tanky, but also reward you for trying to flank around it or hit weak points. So I think they're achieving that, but I could see a lot of people just being quite upset that they now have to aim, or the one stratagems that they used are not nearly as effective, which is unfortunate. Gas got a buff, didn't really need one, but it got a 25% slow. And this also applies to the sterilizer, which has more of a lingering effect, which is kind of cool. Flame Sentry got a big buff, but this is more in line with the Lumberer because it's the same fire as the Lumberer's left arm. The range is increased to 34. We did test it and it does have some crazy range. The damage is not on the beam of fire, but it seems like the fire you put on enemies, I think, because what we were noticing is that the beam of fire doesn't seem like the cremator or the normal flamethrower, where if you use either of those 2 flamethrowers, the beam of damage is where you get majority of where, you know, you're dealing damage, but the fire you put on them is kind of like a secondary component. It seems kind of flipped with the Flame Sentry and the Lumberer. So some people are taking on the Lumberer and they're like spraying their flamethrower at stuff and it's not dying, and they're saying Lumberer bad. But the Lumberer's flamethrower is definitely more for spreading fire at a distance, lighting enemies on fire, and then like letting them burn over time. It seems very good for that. So you just got to use it in a different way. If you are going to spray down an enemy, make sure you're trying to panic them because it does affect how fast you panic them. Laser Sentry got a small buff, 25% more fire time. Cool. Regular battle time got a little bit of a nerf, but I think that's maybe to differentiate it more from the other battle time they added. Not exactly sure. A lot of durable damage increases for melee units here, but it's mostly just melee units. There was a small increase to Devastators and Raiders and stuff like that, but it went from like 6 damage to 8 damage. But for the most part, it doesn't really affect how squishy things are. Maybe just your turrets, unfortunately. Another L for turrets, but please, Arrowhead, look into turrets. Devastator shields are actually destructible now. That's a really cool change. I didn't think it would ever come. Worst Riders hip joints. So if you can picture their legs and their main body, there's like a narrow bit that if you were in the know, you would shoot that even before this patch because it was actually like a weak point. But now it's even more of a weak point if you're shooting at it with like an AMR, autocannon, and so on and so forth. So it's actually medium armor pen, but it's very small, so it might be hard to hit. Automaton tanks got their health increased to make them actually tanky, but this is actually an actual buff for the spear as well. The spear did get 4 rounds on his backpack in this patch, which is awesome, but it also got a buff here as well because the spear can still one-shot automaton tanks, whereas the recoilless can't anymore because it's 3,200 damage. They did also increase the back fence, so this is not like the glowing bit at the back of the tank, but below that you could actually shoot that, and it was actually a really good weak point if you couldn't get the back of the turret. They've increased the health of that and made it pen 4. Kind of fair. You should want to get behind the turret to do that main damage. Also, you can get on top of the tanks more easily now without taking a bunch of weird damage, which is nice. Shredder tanks got their turn speed reduced, but they also got the main body part as well. Barrage tanks got a little tankier as well. Their main like rocket barrage area is just tankier, which is probably fair. They were just kind of dying immediately if you had a medium pen weapon, so that's cool. Flesh mobs no longer phase through walls, apparently while charging, apparently. I haven't really tested this yet, but apparently. They also do more durable damage to like vehicles. Apparently they just weren't doing any damage to vehicles, which is interesting. The Illumina Tesla towers can now just be shot at to be destroyed or be blown up by things that are much weaker, which is great. Fantastic change. Other than that, just a lot of just like little miscellaneous changes and fixes. I'm trying to remember if there's any other ones that are off the top of my head, but I think the big changes are mostly just like flesh mob change, the hive guard change, obviously the mechs getting way tankier. I'm really hoping for some turret changes next one. And yeah, good changes overall. I did enjoy myself. And the hive guard one, don't freak out. It's not as bad as it reads. It's actually, if you didn't know about it, you'd be like, wait, why can't I pen here? But for the most part, you are still destroying them and they just reward weak point hits more. So I think overall it is fine. Now for the new planets and the new units, we have these lush garden worlds that have popped up out of nowhere. Big Rock, Luxuriant, and then I think there's one more over here. Brilliance. They're just beautiful. Like you can see it from the screenshot right there. They're just beautiful worlds and they're really fun to run around. Elevation wise, they're pretty flat. Really good for POIs, it seems. A decent amount of POIs all over the map. The Gloom units that are on them, they are the former Gloom units, but now if you blow up one Gloom unit, you'll remember that like a bunch of spores come out. It does a little bit of explosive damage in the radius around it, but then a bunch of spores come out. If a friendly Gloom unit runs into it or already is in it, they get like 100% speed boost, which is crazy. And it makes them way more interesting to fight. They're kind of like a different version of the Predator strain. And you might be like, well, how does that tie into the new Baltan? Does he get faster? He doesn't get faster, but he spews out a ton of spores in a huge area. And that entire area, if Gloom units run through it, they are way faster. Now, that being said, the spores don't do damage to you, it seems. It seems like they might do damage to your mech. I think I had a mech die or at least take damage from it. Looks a little bit weird, but it really just knocks you back. If you're just a Helldiver, you get staggered and you get knocked back, ragdolled backwards. Doesn't really do any damage to you, but it is buffing all the enemies around you, which is pretty scary. Gas is a fantastic counter. Found a lot of people were either using the laser guard dog, because the laser does affect the hive guards, because you can't just light them on fire with that guard dog, or they were using like the bubble shield or like the blizzard shield or something like that to just reduce a lot of the damage you're taking. Gas grenades obviously really good. Gas guard dog obviously really good. The new bullet storm really freaking fun. We'll get into that in a moment though. So the main thing I would recommend though is CC, gas in particular, really good, or just like outright damage. If you want just like throwing a napalm barrage, always insane for any faction. The Bile Titan does seem to be a little bit more tanky than the regular Bile Titan, similar to other Gloom units. They do have a higher base health, so it makes sense that the Bile Titan is as well. So instead of it just being one Quasar shot to the head, it's like one Quasar shot plus a little bit more. So I was actually using the new grenade pistol to 1-2 combo. Quasar first and then grenade pistol right after, or missile pistol right after. And it worked out. You were technically two-shotting them. So it was good. But you can still like two-shot them with the lumbers, anti-tank emplacement gun, and tank emplacement as well. You can one-shot them with the recoil still. Spear can one-shot them if it hits in the head. So they mostly perform similar to regular Bile Titans. They just have a higher max HP and they buff other enemies, which is pretty neat. I think this is a great change for the Spore units because they were pretty boring before, I'll be honest. They were probably my least favorite variant because they were just like, the only thing they did was nerf your FPS. And they don't do that nearly as much as before. They still do reduce your FPS a little bit because of how much spores are everywhere. But yeah, overall, the Warbond is good. You know, I'm going to get into way more detail tomorrow in my review, so look out for that. But everything in the Warbond has been solid. Good additions. There's nothing here that I think is like blatantly like underpowered or bad or, you know, unfun. Everything here has honestly, like the breakthrough, I wasn't really excited for this. I was like, I don't know. But it honestly, really fun. It's maybe not the best mech because it can get bullied at times and doesn't do crazy amounts of damage at range or anything like that, but it's very fun. So you're trading off how meta it is for fun, which is A-okay in my book. For Helldivers, you know, missile pistol surprised me for being useful. Lumber is fantastic. The armor was very interesting. You are a speedy boy with it. And the bullet storm was very fun. You get 2 of them and 300 rounds per. It's kind of just like having a disposable stalwart at max fire rate. It's quite good. The Gallant is Liberator Penetrator to the normal Liberator. It's kind of like that. So yeah, good Warbond, but we'll get into more detail tomorrow. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Consider leaving a like on the video and a comment down below. What do you guys think of the patch? I know there's a lot of discontent in the community right now. I don't think this patch really solves a lot of the issues that people are having that are outside this, but I do think it is, you know, a good patch overall outside of the things that people wanted to see. Tank being changed, you know, more changes here and there. I get that, but I do think it is overall a good patch. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Come on by the live streams, link down below. Remember, I have an alternate YouTube channel that I stream Helldivers in the morning as well as on Twitch. So 3 a.m. EST to about almost noonish EST. That would be around like 6 p.m. Central European time for those Europeans out there. So come on by. I'm a morning streamer. Anyways, much love. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow with the Warbond review. Peace out, YouTube. Bye.